coming to you from deep beneath the murky waters that lie beyond the Lake Erie shoreline. This is the Cleveland Podcast! With Fred the Mud Monster and South Bay Caesar. Find us online at facebook.com/The Cleveland Podcast or email us at theclevelandpodcast@gmail.com. Now, join us as we journey through Northeast Ohio and the city of Cleveland.
Hey, Caesar.
Hey, looks like you're in the control seat today.
That's right, I am in complete power now.
Looks like your mud's getting all over the recording equipment.
Every little crevasse in this little device is now currently filled with particles of earth.
It's been a pretty dry last couple of months.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty rare for this part of town in this time of year.
Well, I suppose, but it's probably going to be the new climate for Cleveland, given if we're going to believe all the climate change models.
Right, if that is, then this is going to be prime territory in the future.
Yeah, become the next Miami, New York combined.
Yes, it'll be warm and high level ground.
But we'll be like 90 by then, so we're not going to really enjoy that too long.
Well, I'll be dead.
Yeah, because you will die before 90. I will last until 130.
Yeah. The way I live, working all the time, staying up late, waking up early.
Yeah, man.
Drinking too much beer. I'm not going to see 90.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm like complete opposite. Like I work weird hours, but I do sleep a lot. So it's definitely, I feel like I'll live quite a while. I generally have all the doctors say I have a pretty good clean bill of health outside of some muscular things, but that's because I'm an idiot when it comes to sports.
Yeah. So it's been a pretty warm, mild, non-rainy fall. Today is the first day of fall 2019.
The autumn equinox, as it's called.
Right. And, earlier this summer, like in May and June, it took forever for summer to get here. It was rainy every day, your kind of weather, so that you could get muddy.
Right, exactly.
And
I gained like 500 pounds just during that whole time because the earth just started to accumulate within me.
The mud would just build up.
Well, I mean, that's the idea, though. I was trying to get swole. I'm trying to get really muscular.
For a mud monster.
Right. I need the mud pecs.
Yeah.
You understand what's going on here.
But I was a little bit concerned that the weather's been so surprisingly nice for this time of year in Cleveland, and I was worried that maybe your mud would dry up.
Oh, yeah, and then there'll be no more me. I'd be like a clay statue, and all of a sudden we have to go Fred the clay statue, and I go, can't move. I can't speak. Oh.
But then it would rain again and snow again.
And then I'd be back to me.
Be like Frosty the Snowman when you bring you back to life.
Oh, right.
The rain, the mud.
Fred the Mud Monster. He was a jolly, happy soul with no cotton pipe and no carrot nose and no two eyes made out of coal.
Just lots of mud.
Just lots of mud. Let's go into something that we're going to do a mishmash of different things today. We don't really have a featured guest, but since I'm in the controller table, really, it's Caesar being interviewed. So I'm going to ask all types of personal questions.
Oh, wow.
So you went to a very interesting place, didn't you? Just a couple days ago.
I did. I was visiting somebody, and it turned out they lived in a very historical place.
All right, what would that place be called?
It was the Stockbridge Apartments, and I think it was like near Euclid Avenue.
It was on Euclid Avenue, actually.
Yeah.
It's right near Cleveland State. It's like East 30th about.
Was that in Millionaires Row, I think?
Yeah, it's the start of it. Millionaires Row is pretty much just Euclid Avenue.
I'm not exactly sure where Millionaires Row is. I've heard you talk about it, and I've actually heard some other people talk about it in the meantime, but I don't exactly know where it began and where it started. So I'm trying to figure all that out.
Well, here's a couple of little things that we're going to talk about. Caesar's experience with the Stockbridge Apartments, and also talk about some other random things. So when we look at the Stockbridge Apartments on Google, because, of course, ratings are everything, the Stockbridge Apartments have about 1.9 stars.
Oh, out of 5?
Out of 5.
Ooh.
Let's look at the reviews. Let's try and get them. I'm trying to pull them up. Here we go. The first comment. Hello, I'm a current resident. While this building has its charm and advantages, I wouldn't really recommend it to anyone because the elevator is always... Wow, they just left it there. It's just always. Is it always like on fire? Is it frozen? I'm left a little bit stumped. Oh, I see. That
Flooded.
My phone just is not quite. It's not quite getting me the whole thing. Hold on.
It's like that one from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory where it just like launches out the ceiling and like.
Right. that would be really. Yes, it's exactly like that. Hold on. Let me just get the. Let me actually not use shortcuts here, and let me actually get to this thing.
Did you ever see the Chinese video where the elevator just started accelerating upwards, and then it hit the ceiling, and the guy, you could see the video footage of the guy in the ceiling, and it just started going so fast upwards, and it hit the top, and the guy flew up in the air and hit the ceiling.
Oh God!
Have you ever seen that video?
No.
It's terrifying.
Clearly. I think hitting your head on the top of an elevator is terrifying. But I think the most terrifying elevator video that I ever saw was this, I think, Chinese grad student or Chinese student, undergrad, grad, it doesn't really matter at this point. She was walking out of a hotel, right? Like in a hotel elevator. And they said that was the last video of her before she was found dead in one of the water towers for the hotel. She was in the water. And people were like, hey, this water tastes a little bit funky.
Oh, my goodness.
Because she'd been there for a while. And the hotel's like, no, we filter it all the time. And then, but there's like, oh, it tastes putrid. And all of a sudden they go, okay, well, we should probably check it out. And then all of a sudden they find the lady in the water.
Is that how the movie got made?
No, this is real life, man. I could prove it right now with our bougie technology.
Our smartphones.
Our smartphones and laptops.
I feel like everybody has our bougie technology.
But listen, does your phone have a gold back like mine? That is the real question.
Do they use it to find useless information like we do?
Right. But see, we make useless information entertaining.
We do.
Okay, so now I got the full page of the reviews. So here we go. So the first person said, now we're continuing from the first review. The elevator is always broken. Logical transition. It's been broken all weekend. I called emergency maintenance this morning. They said they send someone out and it's still stuck and not moving. That's not too good.
Have you ever seen the Chinese video of the woman in the escalator who got swallowed at the top?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's
and
terrifying.
the kid was watching?
Oh
my God.
Was it because like the top of it was like a hole in it and then she fell through the hole?
It kind of caved in, yeah.
Right.
The top. And it just swallowed her and ate her up. And anytime I have the option of using stairs and an elevator, I choose stairs.
Oh, you're superstitious, eh?
No. I've just watched too many Chinese videos.
Elevator. I'm, for one, do love elevators, but I think one in my little apartment set, they have a brown cover for the elevator, like a brown cover for the walls, because people mark them up whenever they move them. But the thing is, the little cover looks like, like the insane asylum room, like, with all the white and you're in the straight jacket. So whenever my family comes over to visit, the father mud monster starts to bounce around in the elevator like he's a crazy person. And of course, one time I think someone came in the elevator while he was doing this and they're like, ooh, don't
do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
When I was Little Caesar and I like pizza, I grew up in a small town and our library had an elevator. Went up to the second floor. And I love taking that elevator. I thought it was like the most exciting thing on earth.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, it just was like, I suppose from adult standards, it's not really all that exciting. But it was so fun to push the button. 2, 1, 2.
Right.
And my mom would let me do that.
Wait, have you seen now we're going on these videos. Have you seen the video of a child that decided to take a whiz on all of the elevator buttons?
No.
And it's like 35 of them, and he just decides to go to the bathroom on these little buttons, and then they malfunction.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, no shit, Sherlock. Like, wow. When you put like ammonia from your urine on the keys or on the buttons for the elevator, wow, they suddenly don't work anymore.
Wait, they had a video of that?
Yeah. I don't know how I ran into it, but I remember I saw it. Okay, but going back a little bit, here's a second review. Don't park any vehicle here. If you have money, then you should find a better place. If not, not too bad as they cover everything. Okay, that's not bad. 3 stars. And then the next one, only leaving 1 star because it's the only way I can post this comment. I just moved in 2 months ago. From the beginning, management is unprofessional and responds to calls in an untimely manner. I've had the worst time trying to receive help both in office or over the phone. As a resident, we pay monthly for parking in a secure lot out back. Today I realized my gate opener isn't working. 2 other residents try theirs before we realize it's the gate that is broken. Oh, goodness gracious. This is huge. It's a little bit too long.
Yeah, and a lot of people just bitch about everything.
Yeah.
I've noticed when I look at stars, like when I look at reviews of stuff, a lot of the people that leave reviews are just angry about like specific things that happen badly. You know, I buy a lot of equipment for audio things and you know, podcasting and music and stuff like that. And every time I look through the reviews, it just seems like there's always somebody like who's pissed off.
Right.
Like the people that are happy don't always necessarily take the time to leave reviews. It's always the people that are pissed off. And that seems like actually a pretty cool building. I went in there and people are living in these places. But I think part of the problem is that there's like all these amazing buildings. And I think one of those reviews was talking about, you know, if you don't have money to get a spot in the parking garage. Is that what he was saying?
Yeah.
It's not in the best neighborhood, you know?
Right.
And that's really like when we're talking about the east side of Cleveland, I think it's a really big problem. You know, there's a couple of problems if you want to rent or buy property on the east side, you have to decide, do I want to live somewhere where crime happens a lot? I want to help Cleveland become a better town.
Right.
By moving to a neighborhood that isn't as nice and trying to be one of those people who help make it better. However, do I want to do that at the risk of having my car broken into and having to wake up in the middle of the night, like hearing sounds?
Right.
And that's something like if you're going to buy real estate anywhere in Cleveland, that's something that you have to consider.
Right.
I think the other thing, and I don't have to deal with this because I'm a single guy, but the other thing is you have to think about what school district you're going to live in if you're going to have kids.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
We have to start talking about this kind of stuff. I think that it's very easy to buy property in Cleveland, Ohio.
It is.
And it's something that I think that more people should do. If people don't have immediate plans to leave the city, I think people should be buying property.
Absolutely.
As somebody who doesn't know what the future looks like, I haven't made that move yet. You know, back when I was dating my ex-girlfriend, I was definitely considering it very, very seriously. You can buy a house for a ridiculously cheap amount of money. And again, it kind of comes back to a lot of those things. School district.
School district, yeah. And then where you want to go? What's the neighborhood you want?
Safety.
Safety.
Do you want your kids and your future wife to be, or your present wife, or whoever we're talking about? Do we want them to be at risk in a neighborhood that isn't necessarily the safest?
Right.
Do we want to go outside to the neighborhoods where houses cost $200,000 or $300,000?
Right.
Then you lose the ability to get a cheap house. Even though $200,000 or $300,000 is still pretty cheap relative to other cities like California, New York, a lot of other places, Nashville. You know, even I think Nashville's gone up a lot since I lived there. I lived there 10 years ago, and it was a pretty affordable place to live at the time. I think it's going up.
Yeah, because everyone wants to be next to Elvis. Oh wait, no, it's Memphis.
Oh no.
Oh dear.
I thought Nashville and Memphis were pretty close together. They are not.
Oh, aren't they like on opposite ends of the state?
Nashville and Memphis are further apart than any part of Ohio is from any other part of Ohio.
Right, exactly. Like they're literally on the other ends of the state. But let's go.
No, not even. Like Nashville's in the middle.
Oh, Nashville's in the middle.
Memphis is on the left.
Oh, okay.
To the west.
Right.
And that's only halfway through the state.
Oh, really?
It only takes 2 hours to get from the top of Tennessee to the bottom of Tennessee. But it takes about like 7 or 8 hours.
Really?
The other direction.
Wow, that's crazy. But let's go back to the apartment. So obviously you went in there. And then what was it like? What's the interior? What was the interior like?
It's a lot like a lot of the buildings in Cleveland. It's just old, but it's cool. It's like old school cool, you know?
Okay. What old school could mean anything. We're talking about 1600s or 1920s or?
I'm guessing early 1900s. I don't even know what the
BC or 80? Oh no, come on.
Caveman.
1900 was BC was like Egypt, so we have to speak in hieroglyphics.
Oh, there weren't cavemen in 1900.
Well, there were some hunter gatherers, but
BC.
But everyone was starting to settle at that point.
And we found out that Neanderthals are much smarter than we thought they were.
Oh yeah, recently. Well, that was a recent article, right?
Probably in the last 10 years.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But anyway, what else about the interior? Was there anything that really stood out to you?
I didn't get too far in. It was just kind of brick, like old school, like old school buildings would be. I didn't get too far in, but there was a plaque there.
Okay, a plaque.
Yeah, and
magical plaque.
I think I took a photo of it and sent it to you.
Yeah, that's right.
And it kind of listed all the people who had lived there before.
Which is why we're really talking about this, because the amount of people who have lived here in terms of those with pretty famous is quite shocking.
Right. Otherwise, this isn't really an interesting building if it didn't have the history.
Exactly.
It's interesting because it's old school cool.
Right.
It's like one of those places where if it were in a better neighborhood, you'd be like, oh man, that'd be a great place to live, And that's how Cleveland is kind of in general. There's so many old buildings that are like, it doesn't have like the most modern amenities unless they fix it up and make it luxury apartments.
Right.
But there's something cool about living in something 100 years old.
Yeah, right. Sure.
I mean, you could live in the most modern apartment and it's kind of sterile almost.
I can agree. I mean, I love my apartment, but it's white and concrete. So yeah. I kind of feel like I'm in the crazy room sometimes, but I do add paintings that, actually I didn't tell you the story.
Okay.
So, this is beautiful painting that I find near the apartments that, trash chute. And I didn't know if this was being thrown away or not, but it looked like it was.
Okay.
It's just like this pretty scenery, like a landscape portrait of just kind of like with these different colors. It was like a very like a rainbow pastel.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I have to have this thing. And I'm thinking, well, it's near the trash, so it's probably being thrown away, because we have a lot of, in the apartment set, there's a lot of international students who they're there for like a year or two, and then they're out, they're gone.
And then when they leave, they just leave stuff behind.
Because how are you going to bring an entire painting onto a plane back home?
Right.
So my thinking,
and then you have to pay tariffs.
It's a whole 9 yards. But apparently, this whoever made this, they made it. And so I just gladly took it and I hung it on my wall. And now I have a lot of color.
Some poor student is like, where's my painting?
It's like, my painting's gone.
I just left for 30 seconds.
What if it actually happened? I probably would have gotten a complaint, because I'm actually a well-known resident in my apartment set now.
Yeah. I'm
known because, I saved someone's life in that apartment set, but that's for another time.
Right.
But, but now I'm known as like, if anyone else is planning to, or might wind up getting killed, I'm the person people go, save that person's life in the apartment set. So it's a little bit weird.
That sounds like too much pressure for me.
No, because most of the residences go, I'm just walking in and out. So there's not really any life-threatening situation. I mean, not like I can go into a fire and then put it out. My skill range is very limited.
I'm a very horrible person to have around in emergency situations. I remember like one time when I was younger, when I was still in high school and I was getting ready to go to school, and I was like worried about being late. My father I saw my father climbing up on some shelves, trying to reach something up high. And then I walk outside of the house, right? And I hear this loud bang.
Ooh.
Right?
Right.
And I'm like, I need to get to school so I'm not late.
Oh,
but and then I was getting ready to leave, and I'm like, you know what? I need to go back in and make sure everything's okay. I walk in and my father's laying out cold on the floor.
Oh no.
You know what I did?
What'd you do? Don't tell me you just continued to walk to school.
Like a normal person would call 911, right?
Right. I
called my mom. I'm like, Mom, Dad's laying cold on the floor. And she's like, why are you calling me? Call 911. I am not the person that you want.
Oh, that's so tricky though.
In emergency situation.
But you're a little bit older than that now. So maybe you'll be more calm.
I'm not better off now. Well, I still have that.
Yeah. My situation was, I won't go into too many details because it's currently, there's a lot of touchy, iffy stuff about it. But, But pretty much, this was a situation where I had to do CPR.
Yeah.
And I had no idea what the hell I was doing.
Yeah.
So, we called 911 and I was like, all right, this is how you do it. And then all of a sudden, we, they're like, oh, you're doing great. Sounds like the person's breathing. I'm like, oh, that's good.
Yeah. Right.
I had no idea what was going on. So all of a sudden the paramedics came and they're like, hey, whoever did this did a good job. I'm like, you have a job? No, I don't need another job, but joking.
They wanted you to be a EMT.
Well, I have this stuff. I'm very muscular. Not muscular, but I have a lot of muscle because I'm just a huge person. So, I could just push out more than the average bear, Not like a real bear, but
actually, you could probably push out the same amount as an actual bear. Like, what would a mud monster versus a bear attack be like?
Well, the bear would lose.
And he'd get muddy in the process, right?
Right, yeah, because I can shapeshift. Duh. Satan in his shapeshifting, he has my
Satan?
abilities.
Satan?
Yeah. Listen, Satan shapeshifting and my shapeshifting are about the same in terms of capacity.
Wow. I didn't know Satan could shapeshift.
Yeah, the whole garden of the snake.
Oh, and turn into a snake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the divine figures.
You can turn into a snake as well.
A mud snake.
A chipmunk.
I can't quite turn anything.
A squirrel.
That's a lot.
A street cat.
Oh no! In the streets of old Brooklyn, why the fuck are there so many cats? That will be explained in another episode. All right, so now we're actually going back to this Stockbridge. So here's some of the residents that have lived there: Dean Martin.
Yes.
Lucille Ball.
Wow.
Henry Sherwin. And then that's of the Sherwin-Williams Company. Really? Harry Wick, bank owner. James Garfield, the son of the president of James Garfield Sr. Jack Benny, Bob Hope. Doug Henning, a magician. Herb Block, cartoonist. And Ms. Lotta Brubaker, a music teacher at the arcade. So those are some of the most famous residents who or at least own an apartment there. But think about that. Lucille Ball, one of the earliest female actresses and one of the first big ones, And
I think probably people are listening to this thinking, why are Fred and Caesar talking about this specific building?
Yeah.
I think that's part of the mystery and the wonder of Cleveland is that you can head into a part of town that was formerly great, and it can be like a former shell of itself.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of like the same reason why people like ghost stories and abandoned mansions and all of those things, Something new and shiny is wonderful, and it's probably good because it's, it probably has better insulation and heating, and it probably doesn't have asbestos and, things that'll kill you. But
I like to think my apartment doesn't have things that kill me.
But there's a certain fascination with old buildings that it's very curious. It takes you back to a time that, of greatness.
Right.
And Cleveland's heyday was probably, even though Cleveland is a pretty great town to live in now.
Right.
And there was probably a lull in between now and then. When were those people famous?
Oh, goodness. I mean, Dean Martin was the 40s and 50s. Lucille Ball was the 40s, 50s, I think into the late 30s.
And when did the Cleveland decline begin?
Oh, the mid 50s.
All right. So,
or mid 60s, really.
And so
a lot of people say it's the Huff Riots in 60. We'll check on when exactly the Huff Riots are, but they're late 60s.
Which isn't too far away from this area. I mean, it's not the same area. I think this is old Millionaires Row, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but Huff isn't too far away. And just in case anybody's wondering, and I didn't know this for the longest time, actually, until we started doing this podcast, which I lived here almost 3 years and some months before I started doing this podcast. I'd see the name Hough, and I thought I was Ho.
Oh, goodness.
But I never really looked that much into it.
Right.
And then I'd hear Huff, and I'd never associate the two.
Right. But you think about all those names. You think about, here's this old apartment. You have Lucille Ball and Dean Martin, and they all probably didn't live there all at the same time, but just think about that. You have the the son of a president, and Lucille Ball. Can you imagine what type of tomfoolery they probably got involved with?
Oh, I bet a lot of stuff happened there.
It's like, because people talk about Lucille Ball was kind of quite the what people would say back then, quite the vixen.
And now they just leave 1-star reviews.
Yeah, right. Can you imagine? I think suddenly you wouldn't rate it 1 star if you had Lucille Ball living there.
Right. It's like, the management doesn't pay much attention to us, and my car got broken into. But Lucy, I'm home.
Oh, jeez.
Is that how it goes?
No, I don't think that's what she's famous for. But
what does Ricky Ricardo say when she gets home? When he gets home?
I think it's Lucy, I'm home. But Lucille Ball's not famous for that.
Could you imagine if every time you went home you heard, Lucy, I'm home?
I think you'd lose your mind. Oh, goodness. But think about it, too, think about the number of actors, a magician, it's just one of those weird things you think, this building has no meaning. And then all of a sudden you go, oh, my goodness, like there's so many famous people who have resided here. And you really are left astounded. People just don't realize that Cleveland used to be like it kind of was like New York in terms of prices. Like, it was hard to buy a place out here. I think that's a pretty good time to take a quick break, and we will come right back with a completely different topic. Well, somewhat similar, but different change in direction.
All right. Hey, Fred, do you smell something?
I don't know. It smells moldy.
I smell that too.
Wait. Oh. I see something behind you. It's a white-looking thing.
Is this Smelly Moldy Ghost?
Yes, it is. How you doing?
Smelly Moldy Ghost, how are you?
Good. Trying to find you guys. Where the hell you been?
Well, you don't have to look for us anywhere. You can find us online at facebook.com/The Cleveland Podcast or online at theclevelandpodcast.com.
I can't find you on Pornhub?
No, Smelly Moldy Ghost, but you can always email us at theclevelandpodcast@gmail.com.
Okay. Better than ever because Caesar's back on the controls, back on top. You are the power top in this relationship. You ever hear about that term?
No.
It's like
what is that?
It's like a gay relationship term. Yeah, like bottom and top. Like if someone's on the top and someone's on the bottom.
So
you're the penetrator in this instance.
I'm the producing penetrator.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Once again.
All right. So obviously we talked about the Stockbridge Apartments last section, and this time around we're going to talk about some Cleveland jokes and some quotes that talk bad about Cleveland because obviously we want to prove the haters wrong. And one of the weird things about Cleveland is that everyone talks about Cleveland and talks about it in a bad light, which is kind of unfair, unjust. So we're going to look at some of these jokes, some of these bad quotes, and we're going to just respond to them in the most diplomatic way possible, which means swearing, kicking, and lots of screaming. So here's the first joke. Hey, Caesar, why do ducks fly over Cleveland upside down?
Why, Fred?
There's nothing worth crapping on.
Oh, that's horrible.
I mean, listen, I've seen those birds around Cleveland. They crap a lot. So apparently there's something worthwhile.
Like seagulls?
Like seagulls, yeah. You ever see all the seagulls flying around the city? It's insane. I've never seen that many seagulls.
Geese like to poop.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I think all animals like the shit. But it's just so weird because like everyone's like, oh, the birds, the birds don't want to crap on anything. I'm like, do you know how many birds we've got? Like there's a lot of birds around here. And they quite frankly, they love to nest all over the city.
I feel like they're perfectly willing to shit on Cleveland.
Exactly. All right. Joke number 2. Why was Cleveland City Council members startled by Drew Carey's ideas about revitalizing the city? They thought they were going to discuss how to win a Plinko. That's not really a good joke. That's a really bad joke.
It's horrible.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. Although, did you see that? Speaking of Plinko, though, did you see that they got all, like they renamed Horseshoe into Jack's Casino? That's been a thing for a while now. But
yeah, I really don't like the name.
You don't? Why?
Jack? Like, what is the purpose of renaming it Jack?
Right, exactly. I mean, unless if it's like the owner of the franchise or whatever.
Maybe.
I wanted to see the whole name on there.
Right, Jack Johnson
or Jack like the Dabowski. Jack Dabowski Casino or Jack LeBlue.
Maybe his name is Nguyen.
maybe Jack. No. Oh God, we're so sorry, Daniel. Nguyen. I know it. We keep saying it wrong. We're always gonna get it wrong.
I think I got it.
Oh my God, we sound so white doing this. It was like Nguyen. I don't know what it is. All right, third joke. What is the difference between a person from Cleveland and a baby?
What?
The baby will stop whining after a while.
I actually feel like that's pretty true.
Explain yourself, mister.
There's a lot of negativity in this town. There's this thing called Brown's Therapy Monday.
Right.
Have you heard it?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
And it's just like everybody calling in to complain.
Right.
I remember when the Cavs won the championship.
Mm.
Like 3 days later, people were calling in to complain.
About what?
Kyrie, which ultimately ended up being true. But
well, what are they complaining about Kyrie about?
I don't even remember. It was just like I turned the radio off. I don't really listen to local radio because there's too much negativity.
Right. By the way, have you seen, I remember I watched ESPN First Take.
Yeah.
When after the Cavs won the championship.
Yeah.
And I remember just Skip Bayless going, Kyrie should have won finals MVP because he made the big shot. LeBron could make that shot. And I remember Stephen A. Smith, his face contorted like a modern sculpture into like a realm, like a face of content into a face of anguish when he heard those words. And then he said, "Are you out of your mind? Skip Bayless? Seriously? LeBron deserves to win MVP."
I think a lot of times those are popularity contests.
Oh, they are. I don't even think Skip Bayless actually hates LeBron. I think he's just like, well, more money for me. All right. The next joke. What's the only thing that grows in Cleveland? The crime rate. Oh, that's kind of got that's got a little bit of a tinge of racism, doesn't it? Ugh.
No, it's statistics.
Yeah, but there's a lot to that though, because like there's a whole thing about like the association of crime rate with like black criminality. It's like a really interesting book by I think Khalil Gibran Muhammad. It's a very interesting book. It's like a thing's called like Black Consciousness, and it's a very interesting read on like how kind of like the country's associated like certain aspects of crime with the African American population, and it's a very complicated story. So when I see a joke like that, I go, that's a little bit got a little bit of some race undertones.
That might be digging in too deep. It's just a shot at the city.
But yes,
from outsiders.
Oh, sure. But, there's always a little bit of a undertone to each joke. But don't get me wrong, the first joke was kind of funny. All right. Next joke. How much snow and sleet fell in Cleveland? Caesar.
How much?
So much that hookers are exchanging sex for ice melt.
Yeah, I would probably do the same thing.
If you really were trying to get the ice melt, yeah, man. I mean, listen, they don't really put too much salt on the roads, do they?
No, they put a ton.
They do?
Yeah, I've never lived in a city that puts more salt on the roads.
I guess I just come from state. We got, like in Baltimore, like it's just we if it's 1 inch, it's preparing for the apocalypse.
Yeah.
So it's like constant salt. So I come from a different little place, I suppose.
They do such a great job of preparing the roads here in Cleveland.
I always have trouble with like the sidewalks because every time I slip and fall.
The sidewalks are a different story.
Just a little bit different. Actually, I have this interesting story. So I was walking to get to one of the bus stops, like around at Mayfield Heights, I think.
Yeah.
And Lyndhurst. And I remember I'm walking and I see this like little hill.
Yeah.
And I'm going up this hill, and all of a sudden I feel my feet completely just fall through. Yeah. I like sink into this snow pile. Turns out that little hill was an entire mound of snow from a snowstorm. And I just walked over thinking, oh, it's just a hill. Yeah. And I fell through. I literally I was like, I think I was up to about like high knees deep. and I'm just like trying to push myself out of the snow. It was a rather interesting experience, but it just goes to show you how much snow we get sometimes.
I have noticed that when I'm in like the rougher neighborhoods that have less money, they do not have the money to shovel the sidewalk. People are walking on the streets,
Right.
and it's dangerous for everybody. It's not a good situation, you know?
I suppose, but then again, you can always fall through the snow like I did, and then it becomes a funny story.
Maybe people should just buy snowshoes.
I know that's a good idea. I've never did that.
Yeah.
Well, I do have some boots, but I don't really wear them too much.
Oh, we've had such a extended summer.
I know it feels like winter so far long ago, but yet it will soon creep upon us.
I think we're going to go straight from warm weather, 88 degrees today, and it's going to come fast.
It's going to start creeping. The temperature will fall. I give it by Halloween.
Yeah.
It'll really start to change.
Mid to late September now.
Yeah.
I think in 2 months we're going to be like wearing snowshoes to get to work.
Oh, potentially.
Yeah.
But since I work from home, I just have to go use my slippers and walk from my bed to my chair.
Yeah. You don't have to go anywhere
No.
on a snow day?
Sometimes I have to travel for like business, but that's rare. Most of my projects are all done online, so it's pretty straightforward, but I'm not driving like you are. So it's a much different experience. I always love snow, but that's because I don't have to walk to work to get.
You can look out the window from the warmth of your home
Exactly.
and be like, that looks nice.
And like have my
So pretty.
have my hot chocolate. Just like, oh, it's so gorgeous. Oh, so lovely.
I bet Caesar's having fun out there.
Potentially. I was like, oh man, I hope Caesar salad didn't get frozen in the snow.
I know.
Oh dear. Hopefully your dressing didn't get frozen. All right. Next joke on this list. Let's see. Where were we? That one was at least interesting.
Hookers.
All right. Oh God. How do you know the Cleveland's getting desperate to help remove record snowfalls this winter? They're willing to pay Amy Winehouse and Lindsay Lohan by the ounce to help out with some snow removal.
I think this is pretty old.
That is old. Goodness gracious. Our source here, jokes for you. Update your jokes, man.
I know.
Come on. Like, Amy Winehouse and Lindsay Lohan.
She's been dead for like 5 years.
Okay, let's not do that now. Let's not be, I think, longer than that.
Yeah.
It's a tragic story, though,
Yeah,
But, but Lindsay's getting better, supposedly. She got engaged at one point to some handsome-ish English guy. But, God, that's so old. Do you remember that when, like, Lindsay was going crazy, though?
Yeah. I don't really hang on to celebrity news too much, but
Well,
yeah.
I remember because, like, all the girls in my school would talk about it.
Yeah.
And so I got naturally curious. And so I just look it up and, you realize that, here's like this woman who, was quite the attractive young lady. And then like the drugs and the alcohol just like drained all of that from her.
Yeah.
Like she lost aspects of her personality. She lost her looks, which really, the looks were really the least important, but it's like she just became like a more damaged person, like completely damaged.
Yeah.
And so it's just sad. Same thing for Amy, it's nothing but tragedy, but that is kind of a funny joke though. I'm not going to lie. Next one. Where are the only 2 seasons in Cleveland? Winter and construction. Da, 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 da.
I've heard a different version.
Oh yeah. What's that?
Yeah.
Here live as Caesar attempts his professional comedian career.
Almost winter.
Uh-huh.
Winter's almost over. And construction.
I mean, you're not wrong about the construction part. The roads are constantly being renovated. But you saw, though, that in East Cleveland, they're closing down the roads because they don't have enough money to reconstruct the roads with the potholes.
Oh, this next one.
Let's see. We might as well get to it.
Oh.
Let's see. What is the difference between a bucket of shit and people from Cleveland? The bucket. Oh, no.
Who wrote these?
Oh, man.
It must have been people from Detroit and Cincinnati.
Or like Pittsburgh and Baltimore.
Yeah, maybe.
Probably someone from Baltimore because that the Ravens and the Browns have the worst percentage in terms of a rivalry in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like the Browns actually lose the most to that team than any other team in the history of the league. It's kind of disappointing. But if you want to check out where I got that statistic from, John Boys for SB Nation talking about the Cleveland Browns section when they were not as good as they are now. But that's pretty terrible, though. The bucket. I mean, how can you just talk about the bucket?
That's too much.
That is a little bit a little bit of a dirty blow.
Yeah,
I'm afraid that this whole section went down the toilet.
I like a dirty blow every once in a while, but not like.
Oh no! Oh gosh! Bye sponsorship. No more money for us anymore.
Right. Fortunately, we are our only commercial.
That's right.
I know.
We're raw and uncut.
It's like we do this, like we're back, but we never really went anywhere. It was like 30 seconds of us.
Yeah, right. What's the next joke? I'm trying to actually read it past the machine here.
What's the difference between the mayor of Cleveland and a prostitute?
What is it, Caesar?
The prostitute gives value for the money she takes.
Oh, that's a little bit dirty too.
Yeah, that doesn't seem that funny.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's more of a political joke, but But you saw that Mayor Frank Jackson's grandson though got caught up in I think like a drive-by shooting.
Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah, he's just the grandson's kind of troubled, man. I mean, we all have those family members where you're like, you did what?
I kind of get that. It's like, if you can't control your family, how can you control your city?
Sure.
Your greater situation.
What's the next one? I'll eventually get to the rest of them, but our machines are in the way.
What is a Cleveland landlord's favorite game to play?
Oh, what is it?
Monopoly.
Oh,
not that funny.
Not that funny. Jeez, get better jokes. I'm left a little bit disappointed by these.
Yeah. How do people in Cleveland vote?
How?
Early and often. I don't even understand that one.
I don't even get that one either. Because if you saw the election, the voting wasn't so great. Jokes for you. Come on, man. Honestly, let's include the year that this page was made, so we can just say that these jokes are dated.
Do you know what the year is?
I can't even. I have to scroll down, but obviously I can't get to it. Not yet. But let's see. There's this last one though. What should you do if you find 3 people from Cleveland buried up to their neck in cement?
Get more cement.
Oh God, these jokes are just like they're almost like personal gripes. I think this person, I'm thinking whoever wrote these jokes had a Cleveland girlfriend or a Cleveland significant other,
right?
And they just spurned them badly.
I feel like I read all these jokes and I only found one of them kind of truthful.
Yeah. I mean, I only found like maybe 3 of them kind of funny.
Yeah. Well, funny and truthful are different.
2 different things.
Yeah. I like the one where people are negative.
Right.
Yeah, that one's kind of spot on.
Yeah. That I beg to differ, but I think that's because I'm from a more negative city. Then Baltimore is just like God bless it, I love it, but it's like I said in the intro episode, it's a city that there's a lot of negativity, lots of clouds. Ever since the riots, it's been a very difficult time for the city. Kind of uncovered some demons that we don't want to revisit, but. Outside of those very lame jokes and outside of the fact that we had to make them funny through our own commentary.
Right.
I do, I think, have a little bit of redemption here because obviously there are many athletes who like to not go to Cleveland. And one particular player, do you know about Ichiro Suzuki?
Baseball player?
Yeah, the one who played for the Mariners and the Yankees.
Okay.
So here's this really colorful quote from him. If I ever saw myself saying I'm excited going to Cleveland, I punch myself in the face because I'm lying.
I was listening to Schlereth and Evans because I'm a Broncos fan.
Mm-hmm.
And they were kind of like, it really wasn't that damning.
Yeah, right.
But he's like, Cleveland's a fine city, but I wouldn't want to be there in February.
I suppose.
Yeah, and I don't want to be here in February either.
You're right. I think none of us want to be. It's like, you're not wrong. What's his name? Sherleth? It's Heath. It's like
Mark Schlereth. A former Broncos fan.
Wasn't he like I thought you were talking about the
a former Broncos player.
Yeah, he was the offensive lineman, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like I see him on like FS1 all the time.
Yeah, he's a national guy.
Yeah, right.
But he also does the local show there in Denver.
I suppose that's all well and good. Yeah, but these are kind of some interesting things. Obviously there are many other little jokes we could talk about Cleveland, but they're kind of just the same thing. Oh, Cleveland just is bad. Cleveland gets shit on. There's too much
I feel like
snow.
these are very generic jokes.
They are generic
Just
jokes.
like,
I want something with a little bit more specificity.
right.
Like, to talk about Happy Dog, or talk about a restaurant, or no offense to Happy Dog, that they have good hot dogs, but
but be more specific.
exactly.
Find something that actually applies to the city.
Exactly. Doesn't apply to the city.
There's plenty to make fun of.
Exactly.
They missed the mark.
They missed the mark. So what would we? So my question for you, my interview question: what would you pick to make fun of, Caesar?
It's hard because I deal with it daily.
Mm.
Like the bad stuff about Cleveland is something that I experience on a regular basis, and it's not something I can make fun of. When I think of Detroit, I can think of it like in a funny way, how rough things are. But when I'm here in Cleveland, I deal with the rough things on a daily basis, and I meet the people every day.
Sure,
who live in those difficult parts of town. The only thing I could make fun of again is the negativity, and it's just when we first started making this podcast, I told you the story about the guy who's like, this podcast is going to be shit.
Yeah, right.
Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
It's just like everyone's a little bit of this is not going to work. And now all of a sudden we're almost at 100 total followers, and with several with over, I think we have over 100 downloads and a couple hundred views. We're really moving along here.
And I expect us to grow. Yeah,
we're definitely going to get big, and this Mud Monster will get 8 packs instead of just 6. So that way I'm going to look like a complete freak. But I would say, from my 2 cents of, I have this like weird observation that I always like to make fun of for Cleveland that I'm never going to get rid of.
Yeah.
Is that because I ride the public transportation all the time because I don't own a car. I mean, you could just get everywhere pretty much. I need to go through public transit. And you got the trains, you got the buses, and every time, you go on those things, those things are never filled unless people are going to Indians or like Browns games.
Right.
And every time I know that 90% of those people don't even live in the city. So the only time where Cleveland actually is like really packed with people are when a whole bunch of people from like way outside Cleveland are like, oh, let's go to the Browns game. Yeah. Let's go to the Browns game. And all of a sudden you're like, really? This is the only time we're going to go to the city. Really?
Is there a joke you could make out of that?
Well, yeah. Like, half of Cleveland on Sports Day is just people from Westlake and Menor.
Yeah. I was driving here from the suburbs today, and I can tell you that when people from outside of town start driving into the city, it's like they don't know how to drive.
Yeah, it is definitely bizarre.
I don't know if it's because there's so many people in such a tight space, or if it's just because people from outside of the city don't know how to drive in the city.
Right.
Yeah, but it gets rough. Yes. I can always tell when traffic is stupid.
Mm-hmm.
There must be an Indians game. So when I arrive where I'm going, I look it up on my phone. Yep, right. There was an Indians game.
Yeah, I know. When you suddenly go, why is the traffic so slow? Why is this car trying to run over me?
Right.
You go, Indians game.
I love the Indians, but Indians fans drive like crap.
Say it with more emphasis.
Indians fans from outside of Cleveland who are coming into the city drive like crap.
Let me tell you something about these Cleveland Indians. These fans, they come through the city and they drive like shit. You know why? Because they think, we're going to get there. We're going to make the playoffs. And then they get beat by the Twins. The fucking Twins.
I think they're going to make it still.
I think there's a good chance.
Yeah.
But the Twins have been very good, though.
Indians keep winning and the Twins keep winning.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and this is probably going to come out after the playoffs. So,
but still, so that way, if you guys feel like you can get out your negativity, right, just call us and we'll discuss it.
You can relive the past.
Exactly.
Of us in the playoff pennant race.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be crazy if we won the World Series?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
We'll see. Maybe Yasiel Puig will get us all the way to the top.
All you have to do is get in that wild card spot.
And you're good.
And anything can happen.
That's true.
It's
the magic of sports, or as some people say, that's the magic of whoever pays the most money to win.
Those are the Yankees. And the Dodgers.
Yeah, Yankees and Dodgers.
And
No,
the Red Sox, but they don't always win.
Yeah, it's true. We had some fun. We had some fun talking about apartments, and we had fun talking about Cleveland jokes, which were really poor in taste. But you suck. You stink. You sack of jokes.
Jokesforus.com.
All right, so now we're getting close to the end. We do have an interesting new little facet of our podcast that we're doing. Yes, we're still bringing in guests. We just were too lazy this week to bring in anybody. But in the upcoming weeks and months and maybe even years, depending on how long we're doing this thing, we are starting to do what's called Host on the Road, which means that sometimes we're going to be now doing podcasts where we're going to do a little recording of people on the street. And we're going to get some more candid responses and probably get some hilarious answers. So we're pretty much just going to embarrass people in terms of their history knowledge. That's our main objective. So that's pretty much what we're doing. We're trying to get some responses from different people from across the city. And of course, the audio is going to be a little more jumpy because we're going to be out in the public. But, we're going to make sure that we're producing the best audio that we can. But we're also... It's a way for us to also get some more less trained responses, less prepared.
Right.
We're going to get a lot more ums and ahs and maybe some extra swear words, but that's what you came here for anyway.
Right. You come here for the F-bombs.
Just the F. It's for that and for the various different gaffes that we make. So at the end of this episode, more than likely, you'll be hearing a quick little couple suggestions from potential future guests that we might explore and interview for a much longer period of time, like for a whole full episode. Her name is Chloe Hamlin. While I was just out and about in public, and I did a quick couple of questions, and she's a lovely person, and she's going to offer some good suggestions on restaurants and social things to do in Cleveland. Doesn't that sound pretty good, Caesar?
That sounds great.
Good evening. I do believe that one of the great things about podcasts is that you can find them at facebook.com/the Cleveland Podcast.
God help us.
I found it on Facebook.
Or find us at the website known as theclevelandpodcast.com. Or even on the YouTubes where you can watch it for free. Indeed, it's fantastic. A fantastic performance. Now take me on a journey. Imagine a fireplace. And this fireplace was a source of great energy for the storytelling of the Cleveland Podcast.
Two Tulsas.
They are two star-crossed podcasters. You Liverpool prick. I was trained in the very prestigious University of Cambridge. You eat fish and chips and say it's fish and chips.
Speaking of fish and chips, I made you your fish and chips for you and all your friends you're talking to. Hi, everyone.
Grandma, do not admit that I ate fish and chips. No, what are you doing here? This is my studio, pricks! Who are you? Excuse me, Mr. Ghostman. Mr. Smelly Moldy Ghost. I am doing a narration.
Oh, Smelly Moldy Ghost, do you want some fish and chips? I made enough for everyone.
No, I will eat your soul.
Oh, I don't have one.
Take a shower, Smelly Moldy Ghost.
Goodbye, everyone.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the Cleveland Podcast. This is your host on the road, Fred the Mud Monster. And I am here today with someone that will just offer a quick couple of suggestions for those who just want to see more of the city. Someone who moved from North Baltimore, Ohio, Miss Chloe Hamlin. How you doing?
I'm good, Fred. How are you?
I'm doing just fantastic. Now, Chloe, what do you do for a living?
Right now, I work at the Cleveland Clinic as a cardiac monitor tech, and I'm going back to school through the Cleveland Clinic in their radiology program.
All right, so I have a couple of questions for you, or
really two. So obviously you moved from. When did you move to Cleveland?
I moved almost 2 years ago, last October. So I'm coming up on my 2nd anniversary.
Ooh, very nice. So, what would be your top 5 restaurants and just around here, and even if it's Cleveland or even a little bit outside of Cleveland?
Ooh, top 5. Okay, I'm in the Coventry area, so they're going to be pretty close to there. I love Tommy's on Coventry. The best breakfast place to go to is the Inn on Coventry. Oh, the Melt, that was new to me. I've only been there a couple times now, but that is amazing. I got their deep fried mac and cheese.
Ooh, what was that like?
A lot of cheese, a lot of oil, a lot
of everything.
A lot of everything. It's on Texas toast was the bread.
Now you know. What are some of these locations for some of these restaurants?
So the Tommy's and the Inn on Coventry, those are both on Coventry. The Melt is on Cedar Lee, I believe. These are all in Cleveland Heights. I'm trying to think of some really cool ones that Well, my roommate works at Lindy's Lake House, and I've heard nothing but good things about them. I haven't tried it yet, though.
Well, where would they be?
That is at the Flats. That's right near Punch Bowl Social, if you guys haven't heard of that.
Fair enough. As you can see, she can be a little bit awkward at times. All right, that's wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for your wonderful suggestions. Our audience always is looking for more information. Now, my second question, I suppose my last question. You consider yourself a very social person, don't you?
I do, for sure.
What are some of your favorite social activities?
Okay, well, top one is Frisbee, for sure. That's where I met you guys, Fred and Caesar. That's where I met you guys, Frisbee. I really like, my favorite bar here in Cleveland is Forest City Shuffleboard.
Where's that?
That's in Ohio City. And it's so cool because it's got the tabletop shuffleboard and actual shuffleboard courts. So that's really cool. And I'm not in a league there, but they do have leagues you can join.
That's right. Chloe is an old lady.
Yeah, I love it. What else do I like to do? I think I'm in a cool area in Cleveland, and all of my friends at work are from West Side or way further south. So they love coming to Coventry. So I like walking around Coventry with them, or just, I don't know, kind of exploring Cleveland with them, because they don't make me feel as new, since they don't know it and I don't know it either. I don't know my way around, and neither do they. But the one last thing I want to suggest is Boss Karting. It's amazing. It's in Brook Park, and it's go-karting. Oh my gosh, it's so fun. The go-karts are extremely fast. No power steering, though. It's so hard. You do a little crash course before you get started, and it's intense. It's a little pricey, but it's worth it. You're there for quite a while.
Oh, that's all pretty good. I do have one more question, though, but it's pretty easy. What are your favorite attributes of Fred and Caesar?
Oh, so easy. All right, well, you guys are both easy to talk to. Conversations are a breeze with you guys. Standing on the sidelines at Frisbee, all you have to say is hi, and then a conversation is instantly initiated. Fred, you are one of the most unique guys I've ever met. In a good way. You find every little positive. You're very humorous. And I don't know, you're a very good friend. You're a good guy that listens to just about anything, no matter how awkward the conversation can get. And I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so if you need to talk about very personal matters, do contact me somehow, and maybe we can discuss it. I'm a pretty good listener, but most of the time I'm just staring at the window of a car and just going, "Ooh, isn't that pretty?" So my listening skills, alas, are just me just going, "Oh, maybe I just stare at something long enough, and then it'll look like I'm actually listening."
Oh, and if you guys don't know, Caesar is an awesome photographer.
There we go. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Chloe. I greatly appreciate it. You will be featured probably at the end of an upcoming episode, and I hope you look forward to your first little spotlight on our podcast.
I'm pumped.
She's a great interview.
Absolutely. So we might bring her in the future,
She does a great British accent.
which means we'll definitely bring her in for the future.
And we could bring Sir Wellington back.
What do you mean? I've always been. I am Sir Wellington, Fellington, Ellington, Mellington, Ellicking, la 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 la, Cheese Balls, 9th.
You're really good.
On that note, let's end the episode.
All right.
Later.
Geese like to poop.
Yes. Yes. I think all animals like to shit.